my January 1986 944. It has an Allen key fitting to help removal of that nut. The strut itself has the screw cap, which allows an insert. I'm going to replace it with Koni yellow adjustables. On YouTube, one chap from something I think called Valley Crew Racing shows quite a neat way of replacing the insert in this strut without taking out these two bolts, and the top one of which is a offset bolt and would affect the camber. He undoes this connection to the anti-roll bar, I think they call it a sway bar, and drops that on both sides, and then undoes the single nut that's on the top, and then drops this whole unit down, and it swings here on the arms. But he has a shorter spring. He's obviously dropped his car. This spring's under tension, so I'm going to have to use some spring compressors. Compress the spring, undo that single nut. One of the things I say is that if you remove these 4 bolts to drop this top housing, that will also affect the camber settings. So by just removing this top bolt, hopefully none of the camber settings will be affected. So I screwed up the spring compressors until I could just move the spring in its housing. Irina, the German champion, I think, really good video about putting in Bilsteins and adapting the strut. But when it comes to this bit, he has a long socket with a slot cut in that allows you to put in a Allen key. I have an Allen key, and added that on just to give me some purchase. Put my body into that, and then I used quite a deep offset 22mm spanner to get over that. My problem, so undoing it was fine and I started it. My problem will be, unlike Irina on his, is setting the torque when it comes to doing it up. But I've done something similar in the past where I've torqued something up holding the torque wrench in about the same place. So I'd hold it that distance away on the torque wrench, and then I think I can guess approximately how tight that should be. Once the sway bar was loose the other side, I pulled it down a small amount, and this is now quite loose. Remove this top cap. I need to be careful of that brake pipe. So if I pull that hose out, that should give me a bit more flexibility. By just pushing that top of the piston in, it was able to come out through the wheel arch. I'll just put something there to protect it now. remove the spring and then see if I can unscrew the cap holding the insert. Just pushing down with my foot here, I was able to pull the spring off. I'll put a glove over the top to protect the paint, and then I found that if I just put it through my arm, through my armpit, I could then lever on this pipe grips, and with a bit of effort holding it back with my armpit, I was able to undo it. The next problem I had was the shock absorber, the insert, wouldn't come out of the tube. Put a washer on, put a spanner, and I'm going to hit it a few times. What I'm worried about, and I've heard about it online, sometimes this insert comes to pieces and leaves the outer part of the insert in the tube, and that makes it more difficult to get out. With a few good hard taps, it's started to move out. We'll see whether it'll just keep coming. I guess it will. Well, that's it out, and that is obviously a replacement, the gas strut. You're supposed to have oil down inside that cylinder to help transfer heat. Irina, the German guy, uses 180 mil of ATF 3, which I've got, and I'm going to use that to add to the strut before I put the shock insert in. This is a quick comparison of the shock absorber I removed and the Koni shock absorber. The Koni kit comes with replacement nuts and spring washers, which is different to the one fitted on the old one. But this fits over there like that. For completeness sake, these are the instructions that came with the Koni. I'm not sure what that's all about. It suggests 50 ml of oil. And those are the torque figures. I removed it, it was completely empty. So I'm now just going to pour in my oil, ATF. Now I'll just insert, now put the oil in. Just going to insert the Koni. Oh, so that's all coming out now. One thing I wish I'd done was try the Koni insert in the tube before putting the oil in. It was quite difficult to get out the other insert, and this one similarly seems to have come to a bit of a stop, but with the oil in it, it's making it a real nuisance, because you try moving it around and the oil just wants to come out. So I'm going to take the insert out, remove some oil, and then have a go at easing it in until it slots in properly, and then put some more oil in. So I've got a large half round file, and I've been working away inside a bit. If you can just hear it. I think what it is, because there was no oil or anything in there before, there's a bit of rust that's formed, and I'm just going to scrape that off. I've finished scraping, added a bit more oil, and then hopefully, and yes, some more is going to come out. Now it fits in as it should do, I think. Probably not a bad thing. And the ring on top, that should be, I think, okay. I'll just put that back together and torque it down. The torque for the nut holding the insert in the tube should be 120 newtons per meter, or 89 foot-pounds. Somebody will probably tell me this is totally out of order, but for assessing something, those are the pipe grips. They're set at where the grip is on the nut that's on the top of the tube, and going back here distance wise, so it's set for where the centre is. Distance wise, it's about, I'll be holding it just down of the knurled part of the torque wrench. Now that's set for 120, and now I have to get an idea of just how much pressure is on there by pulling until it clicks, and that will be quite a lot. So that's my rough assessment. And that's also exactly the same way that I'll do it for the top nut. The minor problem now is I've got to push this this part of the shock down to get it up and under that wheel arch. So we'll see how we go. That part wasn't as bad as I thought, because I just put my foot on the caliper and push down, and that was able to push it down while I got it inside. So now I just have to get it up through that hole there. So that part went okay, didn't need any levers or anything. Just push down slightly on the piston, then I need to start undoing the spring compressors and then properly locate the spring on that recess there, gently as it goes up. I had to use a second jack so that I could persuade the very top of the piston to come through in order that I can get the that's through. Then there's this rubber piece to go on. And finally the steel cap. Spring washer, it needs to go up a bit more. Spring washer and nut. Like the original fitting at the top, this doesn't have an Allen key insert. It's an 11mm nut on top that you have to hold in order to stop the piston rotating. This nut looks like an M12, and so if it's only got one nut and a spring washer, an M12 you just do up to 50 newtons a meter, 80 if it's a one like that.